The Sentinel's Fate is EverQuest II's sixth expansion, and it's set on the continent of Otis, where the erudite race makes their home in the city of Payneal. In the time between the original EverQuest and EverQuest II, Norath's moon Luclin was destroyed. That also meant the destruction of the teleportation network centered in Luclin's Nexus. The erudites of Payneal were attempting to construct a new Nexus hub, but something went terribly wrong. The resulting explosion tore apart the entire continent and caused parts of it to be sucked partially into the Void Dimension. This disaster isolated Otis from the rest of the world, and only in this expansion is a connection being re-established. Players visit the two overland zones of Otis via teleport spires they reconstruct in the expansion prelude events, and slowly learn the cause of the massive changes as they earn the trust of the locals. The whole continent has been affected. Creatures all over Otis, including the erudites, have been strangely changed by the magical disaster. There are also other intelligent races living within Otis besides the erudites, which provided a series of different potential quest hubs for both adventuring and crafting quests. Crafting players start their questline working for the Farseas Trading Company, assisting an agent of the company to make contact with Payneal. Here players meet the erudites and learn a bit more about what happened to Otis since it lost contact. After finishing the 19-quest introductory questline, crafters unlock 7 repeatable daily missions in Payneal and can also go to 3 additional quest hubs, each of which has 8 more quests plus 7 more unlockable daily missions, and different rewards that can be purchased or earned with sufficient faction. Cara Isle, home of the cat-like humanoids called the Cara, is primarily themed to the Outfitter archetype, which includes the Armorer, Weaponsmith, and Woodworker crafting classes. Any class can complete the quests here, but there are daily repeatable missions that unlock afterwards, and 2 of the 7 can only be done by outfitters, allowing crafters of those classes to gain faction here slightly faster than the others. On Cara Isle, you'll learn more about the Cara and their enemies, you'll help them craft better defenses and place traps, prepare medicinal supplies and food stores, deliver healing salves to their agents, and help their local mystic learn more about a strange spirit she's encountered, which turns out to unlock access to the Huamain. The village of the secretive panda-like people known as the Huamain can only be accessed after you've completed an introductory quest to gain their trust. Crafters gain access by assisting the Karen mystic Natasha, while adventurers have a separate combat-related quest. The Huamain village is primarily themed around the craftsman archetype, which includes carpenter, woodworker, and provisioner crafting classes. Again, all classes can complete the questline, but 2 of the 7 unlocked daily missions can only be completed by crafters of the craftsman archetype. While you're with the Huamain, you'll learn more about their people and how the erudites nearly destroyed them, and you'll help them keep their village secret by traveling to Payneal to hide evidence of their existence and plant misleading clues. In exchange, you'll earn their trust and several of their tasty recipes, too. The third quest hub is Quelul, the research outpost of the erudites, where the teleport network accident that separated Otis from the rest of the world is believed to have happened. This hub is themed to the scholar archetype, which includes alchemists, jewelers, and sages. As with the other 2, everyone can do the questline, but 2 of the 7 daily missions are reserved for scholars only. In Quelul, you'll help researcher Tahar study samples from around the area to understand what effects the destructive magics may have had. This research post is also currently under attack from the forces of the Void, so you'll also help him create some warding spells and defenses to protect the researchers. The 3 quest hubs don't have to be completed in this order, but once the players finish the quests in Quelul, researcher Tahar will thank them and tell them he might need to consult their crafting expertise in the future with some of the old relics they occasionally find while researching the malfunctioning teleporter network. Invisibly to the player, this sets a hidden timer on the player's character. Once the timer expires in 2 weeks of real-world time, it triggers an in-game mail to be sent to the player from researcher Tahar. Tahar thanks them for their assistance previously, and says he has hopes the player is able to help investigate a particularly unusual ancient relic they recently found. The relic is attached to the in-game mail. When the player examines it, it offers a special signature quest, Shadows of the Betrayed. Shadows of the Betrayed revisits the story of the Ethernauts, a group of courageous adventurers from far in Norath's past who had formerly managed to stop an invasion of Norath from the Void Dimension, but at the cost of their lives. Shadows of the Betrayed takes the player through a series of investigative steps as they assist researcher Tahar in trying to learn more about the mysterious relic. Experienced crafters as they are, the players suspect it looks like dwarven metalwork, so the first stop is a dwarf historian in the Butcherblock Mountains. The historian confirms that's the case, and it appears to bear the clan marking of the family of Kaltak, the dwarven member of the Ethernauts who was lost to the void so long ago. Tests also confirm the relic seems to be suffering from some unusual metal stress, which might be a result of exposure to the void dimension. In Expansion 5, crafting players had visited the void dungeon known as the Palace of the Ancient One, and they're still able to go there when on the weekly crafting mission for that zone. If they return there while on this step of the Shadows of the Betrayed quest, they can consult the construction foreman there and confirm the metal stress is what happens to metal that's been exposed to the void for a very prolonged period of time. Players will also notice an injured raider lying near the construction foreman, who can tell them a little more about what happened. The raider witnessed the Ethernauts, including Kaltuk, attacking Anashti Sul and possibly being sucked into the void, but is unsure what happened to them in the end. She suggests a mystic might be able to help make contact with them if it's possible, and if they are indeed in some alternate dimension. Players need to have completed the quests on Cara Isle before doing the next step, as they'll return to the mystic Natasha and ask for her assistance. Natasha believes she can help. If the relic you have does indeed belong to one of the Ethernauts, then she should be able to use it to help you make contact with the owner in a trance. At this stage of the quest, you enter a trance zone and make contact with a spirit form of the dwarf Kaltuk. He's a bit confused who you are and when it is, as time in the void passes differently from time in the world of Norath, but he confirms that the item is in fact his, and tells you a bit more about the Ethernauts. As well as having a combat specialty, each of the Ethernauts also had a crafting specialty. Kaltuk was an armorer, and the relic you have is a part of his armoring tongs. Although you're interested to learn more, unfortunately Kaltuk can't give you much more information about their recipes because a traitor in the party stole all their crafting notes before abandoning them to their final fight against the void. Once your trance fades, you find yourself back on Cara Isle with Natasha, and you seem to have learned all you can about the relic for now, so back to researcher Tahar in Quelul. You tell him you've confirmed it's part of a set of armoring tongs that once belonged to the Ethernaut Kaltuk. But when you tell him that unfortunately you weren't able to learn more about the Ethernauts' crafting skills because the traitor, Rodile, stole their recipe notes, Tahar immediately takes notice. He explains to you that Rodile was a false name used by the very dangerous and very powerful erudite mage Miragul, who is actually still alive, or at least not dead, through his use of dark magic. He's been isolated in his own palace for centuries, and while Otis was lost, but he's once again in contact with the researchers in Payneel now contact has been reestablished. You convince Tahar to give you an excuse to go to Miragul's palace so you can have a quick look around for any of the Ethernauts' notes he apparently stole so long ago. Tahar gives you some research notes Miragul had requested and a letter of authorization, and off you go to Miragul's palace, which is located deep in the icy caves of Everfrost. The zone you enter for the crafting questline is a version of Miragul's library, a combat zone. I used ridiculously high-level, unkillable guards to effectively block off areas I didn't want the crafters to go, and I constructed the instance so that everything in it except the very first guard you speak to will attack on sight. If you speak to the first guard, he'll demand your authorization letter, and once you give it to him, he tells you that you must go straight in to deliver the reports and come straight back, no looking around, or you'll be executed. And he's not kidding. Accepting his terms makes the majority of the guards in the zone not attack on sight, but starts a 3-minute timer which shows up in your quest helper window. You have to get into the library, find the papers you're looking for, and get back out of there before the timer expires, or everything will turn aggro again and murder you immediately. In the library room on the left, you'll find an ancient notebook peeking out from under a pile of other things on a table, and you grab that and drop off the report you came to deliver in order to update the quest. The book you find will allow you to learn a recipe to repair Kaltuk's armoring tongs. This can be done at any forge, but requires some rare materials and has a special set of random events that will be lethal if you fail to correctly counter even one of them. Once you've mended the tongs, return to researcher Tahar to give him the repaired relic and show him the book. He's interested by the relic, but slightly freaked out that you stole a book from Miragul, who could probably obliterate Payneel on a whim, so he tells you off, takes the book back, saying he'll have it secretly returned by the next courier. This completes the quest, rewarding you with an Ethernaut's crafting tool appropriate to your crafting class. So if you're an armorer also, you'll get Kaltuk's armoring tongs, but if you're another crafting class, you'll get an implement named after the Ethernaut that matches your craft. The tools are secondary equipment slot items, so they hang visibly at your hip, and they have unique appearances and effects to match the crafting class, as well as some nice stats and an emergency escape spell. They can also be converted into furniture items and placed in your home as a trophy if you don't want to carry them around. These were and still are a very popular status symbol for crafters to show off their class and accomplishments in a visible way. Shadows of the Betrayed is a signature quest, which is EverQuest II's term for a fairly lengthy, lore-heavy questline that leads the player into the main storylines of the world of Norath. While Expansion 4 had included the trade skill epic questline, that was really the only major lore quest for crafters so far, so nobody was expecting a hidden signature questline to pop up weeks after they thought they'd finished all the crafting content in the expansion. And I deliberately disabled the timer during the expansion beta so that nobody would know it was there until the expansion actually went live. Devs and QA tested the extra quest, but players were completely taken by surprise, something it's very hard to do in this age of quest walkthroughs and data mining. The huge Otis questline, which was 71 quests and missions in total, and then the signature quest on top of this were a massive amount of effort for me, and the most quests I'd created for an expansion to date, having only joined the team in time to launch Expansion 4. I think it definitely paid off, and crafting players were really happy to have so many ways to learn about the different factions in Otis, as well as follow up and learn a bit more about the Ethernauts, not to mention the Sinister, Miracle, and a glimpse into his library they wouldn't otherwise have been able to get.